spending my vacation in the summer sun, getting lots of action, having lots of fun, soaring like a bandit till the bubble burst.
Dead, Brainiac quickly eliminated the remaining heroes. The lucky ones died fighting. Finally, I alone survived, a rat in the walls of the Brainiac construct. I have traveled through time to warn you. This is my past, but your future. And it means the end of humanity, so together we must change it.
What have you done, Luthor?
Given you a fighting chance.
He's lying. It's some kind of trap. Why should we trust you?
Because if you don't, Earth is doomed. I've stolen Brainiac's exobytes and released them into Earth's atmosphere. They hold the power stolen from the heroes and villains of my time and will bestow them on anyone they contact. The exobytes will create a new breed of superhuman to fight Brainiac's invasion. You must teach them to use their new abilities, for they must be on the front line in the coming battle, or my grim future will become your own. I only hope I am not too late, for I will not be here to see this new future. My work is not
So
yet
you'll apparently not be here to
I
finish your
must
line either.
leave this Earth through you.
Alright,
Claim the exobytes and take destiny into your own hands.
okay. There we go, now we're done. So, little glimpse in how the characters, the player characters are sort of created. Now your backstory is up to you, right? I mean, did you have powers before the exobytes hit? Did they give you your powers? That's really all up to you. But what's important is that we've found a way to really unify the player base and integrate them into the DC universe with our backstory. So, let's get into anatomy.
Yeah, let's
right?
look at the anatomy of a character in DC Universe Online. Obviously, the game is all about you or the hero or villain you choose to make to fight alongside or against the classic and iconic DC characters. Here we start at the beginning of Character Create with a choice of gender and body type. Neither of these choices matter fundamentally to combat, but they matter a lot to you and the personality and the type of character that you want to create. You can see here the different options that we have, all of them along very classic comic book lines, and of course penciled by Jim Lee himself as he set the overall art style for the game. There's two choices you're given right off the bat, either to make a custom hero or villain, or to use the Inspired By system to get an idea of what the game can do and the types of characters you can make. Here, looking at the Inspired By, we take some of the key marquee characters from the license and put them in there and sort of use the system as we have to make approximations. The fiction behind this is the exobytes stole all of the powers of the future heroes and villains, and fragments of them are now available. So while it is not a perfect match, you will be able to inherit many of the characteristics of those characters. So while you can't play as Batman directly in the game, except through our Legends PvP system, you can make a character inspired by Batman who has the look and a lot of the abilities. Remember, the next legend is you, so this is your story. This is about your legend. This is about the trail you blaze as you try to go from zero to hero. So let's take a character you've chosen and inspired by Lex Luthor here, Jens.
I'm just going to make custom, so that was happened to be the last one I sort of touched on. So yeah, I can go into the Inspired By if I want to, and I can use it to create a template that I can tweak later. For instance,
Right, use it as a starting point.
Exactly. If I wanted to say, hey, I want to start like Batman, my template will be Batman. I'll be male. I'll have a hero. He's serious. He uses gadgets and martial arts, and he's an acrobat. So I can start there, and then if I want to, I can kind of change anything. Maybe I just want to make him a flyer instead of an acrobat because I like flight. So it's a nice, easy way to start off. But
Right.
I can also do custom, so let's do that.
And custom will actually break it down to the meat and bones, right? The actual what our characters are composed of. And in DC Universe Online, a lot of the choices you make in Character Create aren't just cosmetic. Of course, we have a great and robust Character Create system for you to dress this character's costume up. But a lot of the choices you make actually have a lot to do with the stories you're going to play, the type of combat you're going to do, and of course how other players see you in the world. So starting off with personality.
Yes, we have our Jersey Shore flirt.
That's right, a little situation going on.
Yeah,
Hey,
powerful,
you're typical powerful.
primal, serious. These are sort of stances that your character will take as you go through. Let's take serious, because we're going to start in Gotham, which is a pretty serious place.
And so personality actually reflects the basic idol you have in the game, as well as all of the sort of dances and emotes you can do in the game. So there's a suite of animations and emotes that go along with those personalities that reflect that type of personality.
So we also have mentors here. Mentors are pretty much going to be the person that guides you through your new experience and toward the end of the game on your journey to becoming the next legend. Batman is the mentor for tech, Superman for meta characters, and Wonder Woman for magic. If we had chosen villain, we have a couple more different options there that we can use, like Joker for tech, Lex Luthor for meta, and Circe for magic.
And so these 6 mentors we refer to as the Big Six, because while it's simple to say you want to be a hero or a villain, what kind of hero or villain do you want to be? There's quite a spectrum there. So each of these 3 per side sort of represent a different theme within the game. Jens, you want to go through those sort of themes and the high points of how they are reflected?
Absolutely. So basically Batman and Joker are opposites, and we use them for order and chaos. So our storyline themes for them is this sort of drive to create chaos for the Joker, and the drive to make order for Batman. If you're in the meta camp and you choose Superman or Lex Luthor, you're going to be dealing with the meta gene stuff, what it takes. Lex Luthor desperately wants superpowers, so it's sort of his quest to obtain superpowers. Superman wants to be a mentor for these new heroes and have people actually grow into their powers to defend truth and justice.
And so the words we sort of use in that are selfishness and selflessness, right?
Exactly.
They're opposed, they're at ends of the spectrum, but you get to see 2 different kinds of heroes and villains there. And then of course we have the magic character.
Yeah, Wonder Woman and Circe. Wonder Woman with her lasso of truth is going to be the ambassador of truth in our game.
That's right.
Circe, who is a sorceress who deceived a lot of people in the Greek stories that she appeared in, is deceit, lies. So we have truth, lies, order, chaos, selflessness and selfishness. So sacrifice and gain, basically.
And those inform the stories and what we call your origin in the game. We originally had referred to this just as that, but we realized the mentor was a stronger suit. That's something that people can understand. Hey, Batman is going to be my mentor through the game, and I'm going to be all about order. Hey, if you choose Superman, I'm going to be about selflessness, and the stories reflect that as you go on your journey, because there's key episodes that are completely dedicated to these mentors that you can only do if you have chosen that mentor.
Now, one thing we spend a lot of time on in character create too is making it really visceral and active so that you know what you're kind of getting here. So you can see we do a lot of effects and animations and things as you're making these key choices for your character, so you get a little glimpse or an idea of what you're going to be getting and signing up for.
Well, of course, in a superhero game, you have to have powers, and so the fundamental choice you make for your character is exactly which powers you're going to choose. We started off with 6 powers in the game, each divided into 2 trees. So it's actually 6 with 2 variants each, and those trees are relatively deep and actually have quite a bit of variation. For example, in the mental tree, there is illusions and telekinesis. So one of them is all about messing with people's minds, controlling them, deceiving them, using your mental powers in that sort of very telepathic sort of way. Whereas telekinesis is all about force, picking things up, smashing things, knocking people around. Both of those are under the mental power set, but both play very differently. And each of the 6 power types that we've chosen do the very same thing.
Nature's another cool example of 2 trees that give you really different play styles. We have our plants, which is like where a lot of the healing lives and things like that. Creating vines and man-eating plants and things to encase enemies. And it also has shape changing, so it's our Beast Boy angle. You have sort of turning into gorillas and really cool wolf forms and things like that. Birds. So you got your Beast Boy and your Poison Ivy for that.
So there's dozens of powers per power type. More importantly, your role in the game, in the multiplayer side of the game, is determined by the power type that you choose. We have the sort of 3 fundamental roles you've ever seen in one of these sort of massive multiplayer games. We have tanks, right, guys who defend the party, absorb damage, and keep the attention of the enemies.
They're fire and ice.
They're fire and ice are our tanks. If you want to be a healer, in this game you're also going to be punching guys as you heal. You're not going to be standing back looking at bars. So nature and sorcery are our healing power types. And then there's controllers. Those are the people who keep the situation locked down and going straight to chaos. And those are gadgets and mental. Now, each of those, like I said, has 2 different distinct play styles in each power type, but they fulfill that role. Everybody, however, has an additional role, which is damage. Everybody does damage. If you want to do damage, you can switch out of your stance, essentially, and go ahead and start punching toe-to-toe. It's really interesting in our game because, as I said, healers are a little bit different. Remember, superheroes, when you go read the comics, there's not a guy who just sits there and bandages people up.
Band-Aid Man.
Yes, that's right. I'll get in there right away. You know, put some salve on that.
Captain Salve.
That's right. So,
Well, there is a character called Dr. Midnight who basically is a blind doctor, but
Yeah,
he
so-
can't do anything normal, so he's got to be blind and has an owl.
but what we try to do is instead get the more heroic side of it. So as a hero,